So what shall it be? Do you join the Unity, or do you die here?
Join.
Die!
Join.
Die!
Never mind that, Master. We have more important matters. Did you know the Fallout franchise is officially dead?
Do you have proof?
But is it queer? No. It's not. Maybe that changes in seasons 3 and 4 or however many they do. But so far season 1 is okay.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that all video game live action series are bad. We just recently saw a good one with Last of Us, for example. So with Fallout coming out, I was kind of skeptical, but I knew there was a chance that it could be good, and the trailers looked pretty decent. But now that it's released, I'm happy to say that's not the case, and if you've been on the internet over the last couple days, you'll see that the reviews for this are going gushing grannies for the Fallout series.
Did we dare to hope for a show that would do justice to the rich and detailed world of Fallout? Would they manage to capture the dark satirical comedy undertones of the games? And would they be able to keep it free from the message? It really felt like the gods of entertainment flipped a coin with this one, and the fanbase held its collective breath. And well, I'm happy to say that the gamble paid off in this case, more or less. Fallout is a surprisingly good adaptation.
But it cannot be.
And Master, these are the same YouTubers that are supposedly the fan of the original games. Not only that, the show is #1 in America and highly praised online. This is what happened when Bethesda took over.
I don't think that I can continue.
So, episode 1, what do you need to know? So, there's an intro in episode 1 which we get to see the bombs drop, but before that you get to see the world before the bombs drop, the old world, and you also get introduced to our first protagonist, which so far they haven't explained anything, which they will explain later down in the other episodes, but we see that he gets made fun of for, putting a thumbs up, and the first thing I've thought of seeing this is that this reminds me of the Vault Boy, because, the Vault Boy would have, the thumbs up in some of the games, you would see it. So that's the first thing I thought of, which I am right later on down, because they do explain that later on down the episode, which I would get into. So we see that he's at a birthday party, he's entertaining, but we also see he has a mixed race kid. 5 minutes into the show, we're already getting sprinkled a little woke salt on us. So initially he has a mixed daughter, which indicates that he has a black wife, which the first thing I thought of was that, is he taking care of a baby? Did his wife divorce him? Because why in the world is he there by himself with a little girl? But we will get into that later. So black wife is not there. He has a mixed race kid. So there's this other part of the scene of the intro where we see that he's teaching this little girl, about atomic bombs, and then the bombs drop in this area. Now, I will say I did like the music that they start off with, which of course, because it's some oldie. Everybody love oldies. If you don't love oldies, we're not gonna get into that. But they played some oldies and everything was quiet. I like how everything is quiet after, before the bombs fell. And I also like how there's no narration. Usually these type of shows would narrate to you before, everything happened, just so people that didn't play the game would, kind of understand what's going on. So I kind of like how they didn't narrate. Only big problem with this scene, besides the mixed race kid, which we'll get into later, is that the bomb fell way too close to them. And how, first of all, there's no way the bomb would make this amount of impact being this close. Given that it's so close, there's no way. First of all, they would all be dead. Second, don't radiation travel instantly? How in the world are they not affected? Including, so they better explain how this little girl survived, or if she did. And also, radiation would contact everyone, and also the bomb impact wouldn't just be a broken glass, it would obliterate that whole area. That's that. And also, how did they get away from the bombs falling? Because again, the bombs are super close. How in the world did they get away from that? And also, I was hoping to see, more of the pre-world, what happened before the bombs, or even talked about, stuff like that, or at least, sprinkle a little bit of that, including, showing the panic of the people when they learn about the bomb. Like, did they care? Show a little. This would explain a lot more to the people that, have not played Fallout, which I'll get into, because Most of the people that like this do not like Fallout, period, but we'll get into that later. So, show a little bit more of that, more panic and stuff like that. But after that, that's the intro. Now, the rest of the episode, we get introduced to our second protagonist, her name is Lucy. And I don't care what anybody says, this is a Mary Sue. No matter what you say, you can cope and lie all you want. This is a Mary Sue. This lady literally was learning how to shoot a gun, wrestle. She even made this black dude tap out. And you're going to see why she's more of a Mary Sue later down below. But one thing I had a problem with this scene, because they showed you how she was learning things, right? Because she was born in the vault. This is Vault 33. One thing I didn't understand is how in the world do they teach the women how to do combat when they don't teach them any core skills? Because later down in the show, we do learn that they want Vault 31, Vault 32, and Vault 33 to all go up. They were planning to go up and rebuild society again. How in the world is she and also she's getting married during this part of her introduction. So how in the world does she not learn any core skills? Like cooking and cleaning and taking care of a baby. None of that is shown in the vault. There's no way possible that they were planning to go rebuild up in the surface and they didn't teach none of the women's how to do anything, how to cook, how to do any core women's skills at all. They taught them how to do manly things like shoot and combat. That is a problem. Yeah, you want to play into your fantasy that women don't do this stuff, but that's core women's skills needed upstairs, especially when the men are going to do everything else if they want to rebuild, the world. That's impossible that they don't teach them any core women stuff. And again, she is getting married also. How in the world did the dad not think of teaching her this stuff? So that's that. So after she got married to some other guy in a vault, blah blah blah, right? She ended up sleeping with him on the first night, which I would call her a whore, but she did just get married, so I guess I'll give her a pass on that. So we find out that there's an overseer that came from Vault 32, which happened to be some Latina lady, which, by the way, yeah, we're not gonna get into that. Yes, she's independent. Yes, she's strong. Yes, she's all of that. And mind you, none of these YouTubers are pointing this out. She is all of the things you don't want, right? First of all, how did she get to be overseer? How did the raid? Because later on you figure out that they're raiders. I guess they messed with Vault 32 somehow and they took it over, or they raided it. So how in the world did she lead the raiders to get to where she's at? That's not explained in any of the episodes, by the way, before you even, think, okay, maybe they explain in a future episode. No. So we find out that she's bad and they started raiding Vault 33, right? So this has to be one of the cringiest things I've ever seen. And mind you, you already experienced a little bit of wokeness in the intro of the show. They decided to just go full-blown deep throat to you for you to like swallow this whole. So during this confrontation of Vault 33 of being raided, all of the males, by the way, because they were raiding and they started attacking all of the people of the Vault 33. All of the males started cowering and all of the females started just fighting like they were the men. So you had males doing nothing while their own community is going down in flames. You had even Lucy's brother, which is, we'll talk about him later. Lucy's brother with the big nose hiding underneath a table. You had other men, just running away from all of the confrontation, while mind you, the females are doing all of the work. You even had Lucy's friend got stabbed with an eye with a fork. She's even pregnant, was doing more work than all of the males. Guys, first of all, you can't tell me it's possible that any male, no matter what it is, I don't care, I think it should be in male nature to have that in them, to want to protect their females in their community. You can't tell me that all of the males are cowering while all of the females are doing all of the work. This scene was strictly there to show that the female, and for a female empowerment fantasy. There is no way it was there for any other reason. You can't tell me any other reason than that. For it was there to just show how strong the females were. Every female was doing work. Somehow, someway they survived this also. All of the females were doing all of the handiworks while the males were cowering. If I could show you, I would, but I'm trying to not get copyrighted. I will provide as much evidence as I can. But the main problem is that you had Lucy's brother hiding underneath a table, cowering his way. And then there was this other part where he even got caught. And she saved his life. And you would think, okay, he would repay her back. You know, he'll probably man up and help her fight. No, she helped him hide. God knows this has to be the most gayest thing ever. I want to say more words, but I can't. Guys, this is hard to swallow. This is such an embarrassment that all of the men are incompetent and cowards. And it is a insult to all male. If you don't point this out making this review, you have to be gay. That's the only thing I can say. Mind you, all of this, your favorite YouTubers that, mind you, supposed to be based and you're supposed to trust on your review, did not point any of this out. They skipped over everything and said it's good, right? But I will get into a rant of that later down. So all of the men cowered, and Lucy decided after all of this, because the Latina lady ended up giving the dad an ultimatum. You know, he made him choose between the vault people after she captured everyone. Choose against the vault people and his daughter. And he ended up choosing his daughter, of course. And we ended up figuring out that this Latina lady knows Lucy's mom, which of course will be kind of explained later down in the episode. So she ended up blowing up the vault. People of the vault somehow survived. She, I guess, gave them time to run away. So, which indicating, by the way, she's not a bad guy, guys, even though she came in and raided the place and killed people, right? So they left. She took the dad, and that was that act. No, actually, after that, Lucy decided she wanted to leave the vault and go find her dad. This is another problem I had with this section, because Bethesda only can write, or these writers can only write one thing. Are we sure this is not written by Emmett Till? Because this is exactly every Fallout, Bethesda Fallout. Go find dad or go find son. That's the only story. That's the only motivation for everything when it comes to these. They could have gave us something better, something new. Some other motivation for her to leave the vault. But that's not the only problem of this scene. When she was leaving, one of the males, which I think is her cousin, which is so weird because he acts so gay. One of the male asked, "I should come with you." She said no to him. She even tranquilized him, I think. And there's no way, being that her brother was also there also, he himself admitted that he himself is a coward and incompetent.
I just tracked him. I would say to you if you try to follow me. I'm too chicken.
Literally, he admitted to her this. He even said, "I'm a chicken." Dude, God, if it's not some gay female fantasy, female propaganda, some stupid propaganda, I don't know what to tell you. Again, how in the world did these people watch this show and not call any of this out? He called himself a chicken, basically calling himself a faggot. Literally, have to censor that part out. But wow, this is just scene one. So next act, we get introduced to our third protagonist. Maybe I messed up there, but third protagonist, by the name of Maximus. So Maximus, yes, he's black. You've seen it already. We could brush over that. Yes, that's part of the diverse crew, of course. We're not gonna, not point that out. But my main problem with this character is that he is the main bad guy. And I will get that, to that later down below. But Maximus is the problem of the show. But not only that, he is also a coward. Mind you, we already got, beaten down and embarrassed and, insulted by the previous men in Vault 33 being cowards. They decided to drop another one down on us. So the first time we meet Maximus, he was getting beaten up by his crew members, and he ended up getting saved by not only the ugliest thing I've ever seen, but I couldn't identify what the heck I was looking at the first time until I heard the voice. Then I knew, oh, it's one of those things. So I don't know what it is, and people can cope and say this is a tomboy. No, it's not. He or she or they, can't tell, got a mustache, and I can't really tell. I'm gonna just call this thing a Shim from now on. So Shim, Shim. So Shim has a mustache. There's no way that's a tomboy. Right? So, mind you, Brotherhood of Steel is supposed... This is the Brotherhood of Steel. Brotherhood of Steel, how in the world... I would love to know the backstory on how in the world they even recruit this thing. How in the world did Shim get here? That's never explained throughout Season 1, which I'm hoping they explain Season 2 if I end up watching that. So, he gets saved by Shim, and we get to see more of the Brotherhood of Steel. And Brotherhood of Steel is not the old Brotherhood of Steel. It seems like, first of all, we did see them dying out in Fallout New Vegas, which is supposed to be canon. How in the world are they still here after all of this? This is supposed to be, what, 200 years or 100 years after Fallout 4, from what I remember reading? And they're still around out the way. We are in the West Coast. We're not all the way in DC. We're in the West Coast. So how in the world are the Brotherhood is still alive or still thriving this much? Mind you, this is canon. So we get to see some of the, but don't mind all of that. Don't mind all of that. We get, shown the power armor. Focus on the power armor. Focus on the ships scene. Don't focus on anything, lore wise. So we get to see the ship in some power armor, the T6 power armor. And we also learn that, Maximus is a coward because he also admit that to the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel after he gets blamed for setting a trap in Shim's boot. Mind you, the trap is a razor blade inside Shim's shoes. So how in the world did the razor blade get in there? Did they explain that? No. How in the world did Shim not feel the razor blade going down, putting her feet inside the shoe? She had the feet deep in the shoe, which means she was getting cut by the blade before she entered, got that far. So how in the world did she not see or feel the razor blade beforehand? That's that. Never explained in the show at all. We just get to see some wacky thing. Again, are we sure this is not written by Emmett Till? Because we see some wacky, crazy things and it's never explained. And this is not new. Get ready for more because there are more things that are just thrown at you and not explained. Just to show that, oh, we're wacky and funny, guys. Oh my gosh. Humor. It's funny. Despite we know Fallout has to be a dark and grimy spot. Yes, it had some little comedy in there, but it wasn't like this wacky and goofy comedy. And also, we get introduced to some random game that we get to a random scene of people playing brickball, which is another thing that shows that this show is wacky and nothing is explained. Everything is just shown just to show. It's not really, trying to, get you immersed into this world. It's just throwing things at you and you have to just say, oh my god, look, oh NCR, or all this nostalgia stuff, and then you don't pay any of the other things mind. Next up is the ghoul, which is not too much during his scene, but my only problem is how in the world did he survive in this? Because when we meet him, he comes out of a coffin, which indicates he's been in that coffin for 200 years and he finally is getting released. So how did he stay in that coffin for 200 years so you telling me that ghouls don't eat or drink water or need, and especially we figure out later on that the ghouls can turn feral without this medicine. How did he survive 200 years without the medicine and not turn feral? don't worry about it, dude. Just watch. It's the ghoul. And another problem I have with this ghoul is that I was hoping his voice would be the, original, or cool ghouls that were in the old game, with their voice, being raspy and all that stuff. And also I was hoping his face would be more distressed and showing, this, how his skin has formed because of this radiation and stuff like that. No, that's not in there. He has to have a cool makeup so you can know whatever his name is, Goggins, playing the character, instead of, showing us, giving us that, getting us in the game, fulfilling the lore, or at least, giving us that. At least they give us everything else nostalgic, but they can't give us this. So also I hate his voice. It's like this cowboy, man, but he is the best character in the show. He really is. He's the only one carrying the show. Everybody else sucks, including Lucy. No matter how much IGN or anybody else want to tell you, Lucy and Maximus sucks. They're bad. And every other side character like Maximus, which we'll learn later on, they suck. None of them are good. They're not. Maybe the next guy we learn about, the side character, the main, guy that's carrying the plot, maybe he's all right. But after that, they suck. And also another thing I wanted to point out is we do get introduced that the Enclave is still a thing, which this is still in the West Coast, guys. How in the world is the Enclave still here? This is supposed to be canon. How in the world is the Enclave? From what we learned from Fallout New Vegas, I've seen that the Enclave was left to like 4 people and they were old and dying out. How in the world is the Enclave still here? Don't worry about it, dude. Just know Enclave is here, man. Don't worry about the lore. It's supposed to be canon. How in the world? At least explain that. That is not explained. You can't throw all this lore breaking crap and not explain it. So I was planning on going over all of the episodes, but I changed my mind. I've actually recorded all of it, but then I changed my mind on that because the video is going to be way too long. So instead of that, I'm just going to let you go research about the episodes. You can even pirate it, honestly. Don't give Amazon the money. It's not worth it, especially if you're a Fallout fan. But we're just going to go over everything I've noticed watching the show, all of the woke stuff I've can remember, all of the lore breaking things, and also all the problems I have with the show, that all the wacky and weird things that are just big problems that reviewers are just not pointing out. Watching the show made me get the impression that Bethesda truly hates New Vegas fans, because a lot of things get teased, but then you get crushed. The New Vegas fan would get crushed. For example, they teased the NCR armor only to just show that they've been eliminated. Mind you, in the end of the season 1, the Latina lady is teased that she looked like she was one of the leaders of the NCR, but then they kill her off. So NCR is super eliminated because there's no leader left. Because everywhere the Latino lady went, they showed the NCR flag. There was, a Vault 44 also, I think, Lucy and Maximus stumble upon, and they showed the NCR flag there for the first time. And also you've seen that the Latina lady was being praised or something like that. I will get into that later into the wacky section, but the NCR flag was shown. So, and then at the end they just eliminate the Latina lady, which just signified that the NCR is totally dead. No more NCR at all. Also, Shady Sands got nuked, which I don't remember being a thing in the original game. One thing I did know is that Shady Sands is one of the capitals of the NCR, right? So if that did happen, they got nuked, wouldn't the NCR migrate to that area or migrate west to rebuild if they were still alive? There's no way they were allowed to, stay that way, right? So that doesn't make sense that the show make it seems like they got wiped out as a whole. Also, towards the end of the show, we got just bombed. We just got dumped a whole bunch of exposition of how Vault Tech was the one responsible for the bomb dropping.
Genetically selected to breed with my buds to create a class of super managers. People with positivity, people who make lemonade, people who will inherit the earth after we've wiped the surface clean.
We could intentionally overcrowd a vault so people have to compete to survive inside it.
Yeah, we have been developing a robot that delivers milk to the front door. It's quite intelligent. I would like to see a vault governed by it.
What about using a vault to develop a super mutant soldier using illegal immigrants? We could pump psychotropic drugs into the air supply.
We could separate parents and children, and only the smartest kids reach adulthood.
Significant investment based on a hypothetical. How can you guarantee results?
By dropping the bomb ourselves.
When, mind you, in the original game, it clearly states war never changes. It just, the reason all of this happened is because of America and Chinese at war. So how in the world did Vault-Tec come out of nowhere to drop a bomb? I thought Vault-Tec was just a company. So they were in charge of all of this. And also Goggins' wife, which is the Ebony lady, was part of the Vault-Tec secret society people that dropped the bomb, or communists that dropped the bomb. The show talked about communists and capitalism, when in the original game that wasn't the problem, or that wasn't the reason all of this happened. It was because war never changes. And it's never explained how in the world Goggins' wife, a black lady, got to be in charge of this and got to this higher head area. Like, how did she get there? Never explained how, you know, she got this credential, or how did she get this much power. And the whole point of Vault-Tec doing this in the show was just to run an experiment. And also they were going to, I guess, freeze themselves to, you know, come up to the surface to see that nobody's alive after everybody, you know, wiped themselves out, or the nuke wiped them out. They also showed Mr. House here, which mentioned how the bombs dropping was a bad idea. But if you remember in New Vegas, he is the one that attempted to soften the blow when the bombs dropped. I will provide the quote, because I do remember him talking about him trying to, you know, I don't know, direct the bomb somewhere else. It was something like that, but I'll try to remember, point at the quote, or put the quote on the screen here.
By 2065, I deemed it a mathematical certainty that an unjustified war would devastate the Earth within 15 years. Every projection I ran confirmed it. I knew I couldn't save the world, nor did I care to, but I could save Vegas, and in the process, perhaps save mankind. I set to work immediately. I thought I had plenty of time to prepare. As it turned out, I was 20 hours short. On the day of the Great War, 77 atomic warheads targeted Las Vegas and its surrounding areas. My networked mainframes were able to predict and force transmit disarm code subsets to 59 warheads, neutralizing them before impact. Laser cannons mounted on the roof of the Lucky 38 destroyed another 9 warheads. The rest got through, though none hit the city itself.
Now, the show is woke. That is given for it being 2024. But even if it wasn't woke, there are too many things that are wacky and not explained, or explained poorly, and just stupid. Like, for example, you have Lucy and Maximus. They're supposed to be both, you know, in the wasteland together. They don't spend enough time in the wasteland to have a good chemistry anyways. Yeah, he saved her a couple times, but literally it's only like 2 scenes you see Maximus and Lucy, you know, together, or at least he saved her. But after that, throughout the show, they just walked and explained a couple things, but they didn't really have chemistry, especially the 2 actors that are acting for Lucy and Maximus. And also, Maximus is a terrible actor. Throughout the show, he couldn't convince me at all that how in the world is he IGN's favorite character. I have no clue. He is a bad actor. You don't even have to you know, be a good actor, or, you know, seen good movies to see that this guy is a terrible actor. How in the world all of these reviewers are not pointing that out is beyond me. And also, there are way too many cringy moments in this show that are not like cringy fun to watch. They're just like bad. I will try to provide all of them, but honestly, there are too many cringy moments. Like, a big one that I remember is that part where Lucy and Maximus was talking about having sex. That was one thing.
You smell good. What?
Oh. You wanna have sex?
You mean use my cock?
Yeah.
I don't know. That weird thing could happen.
What weird thing?
Well, it's just for some guys, not me. But for some guys, you know, when they make it move, it gets all big and hard like a big pimple and then it pops. Yeah, they say it could happen to anybody, but it's gross.
You know, that's actually completely normal. Happens all the time. Every time, ideally.
And then you have towards the end where you have Maximus and Lucy kiss, which just to show a big-nosed man in the background just enjoying dude, the fact that that guy was there was just, it was so stupid. It didn't even make any sense. But him nodding and smiling, yes, not only the big-nosed man wants you to swallow the interracial couple, but he also wants you to enjoy him watching, you know, him watching all of this. We're not gonna get deep into this, but dude, there are so many cringy spots in the show, which even if there were no woke stuff in there, it still would be a terrible show. It would not be a good show. And also, there are a lot of things not explained, especially to the people that have not played Fallout. And also a lot of things that were not explained for the people that did play Fallout, which is just crazy to me that they had 8 episodes. Most all of them is like what, an hour long, and barely nothing got explained. And also, I hate like I said before in the beginning, I hate the camera. I don't like how clear it is. We know Fallout to be dark and grim, you know, and very gritty. So why in the world is the camera so clean and everything? The color, you know, correction is very blue and vibrant, instead of this dark like Fallout 3. And even New Vegas sometimes had its dark spots, you know, even when they went in certain vaults, you know, there's no, like, for example, like there are parts Big Nose Rico and Lucy's cousin were figuring out some dark things about, you know, some of the vaults and how things occurred a very long time ago. How come we didn't see the vaults looking dirty and, you know, just dark? And, you know, everything is way too clean, the cameras, especially in certain shots also of the world being broken. Yes, it's cool to see, but I don't get that, you know, it's dark and gritty, this place, especially, you know, they already have all this wacky dialogue and funny moments thing. If the world is supposed to be dark and, you know, the atmosphere is supposed to be dark, why in the world is the camera so blue? Or so, you know, the color in there is just so weird. I'll try to provide some shots of it, but it's just so weird to see, you know what I mean? Yeah, and that's that for the camera actually. And also the soundtrack, there you go, that's another thing I forget to talk about. The soundtrack is another thing. We know some of the cool Fallout 1 soundtracks and New Vegas and Fallout 3 soundtrack. No, most of the soundtrack in this show is just 50s soundtrack, uppy and, you know, exciting 50s soundtrack. Yes, I'm cool, I like the 50s soundtrack, but that's not what Fallout is all about, you know. It's not just 50s soundtrack, it's about the dark ambient noise that you get to be played in the back. Yes, you have this 50s radio, but that's just for the player to roam around the world, not for the show to have. You know, most of the budget had to go to the soundtrack because it didn't go to the nice CGI. You know, even the Brotherhood of Steel armor, when the CGI, when you could tell between the CGI and the actual, you know, live action or the actual armor, it looks bad. They didn't put in no time into that. They mostly spend their budget into the 50s soundtrack, which is just crazy to me. And yeah, Fallout is not about, you know, 50s soundtrack, uppity 15 soundtrack. It's about that dark, you know, ambient noise, you know, getting that atmosphere right. Also, another thing I've noticed about the show is that Maximus got the T60 power armor, right? Fine. But the thing is, he used it without any training. If the developers or the directors played the game once, they would know that you would need training to use the power armor. And okay, if so, even if he gets that power armor, right? Well, by the way, he stole it. How in the world did he get so good at using it when we barely seen him really struggle enough, if you know what I mean? Yes, he struggled a little bit, but he didn't struggle enough for something that's supposed to be, you know, for military use. It needs of, you know, you need training for it. How in the world did Maximus just use it without any effort at all? He even beat the ghoul at the beginning of one of the seasons or one of the episodes without really knowing how to use the power armor, which is crazy to me. And the show didn't show any, you know, of him, any montage or anything of him using the power armor or learning how to use it. He just knew how to use it after like 3 seconds of using it. Also, another wacky scene that I remember from the show, because this was so weird, which was never explained, is there was a scene where Maximus and Lucy found this new vault. And they found the vault was populated by some like cult that were worshipping the Latina lady, the strong Latina lady that I showed you at the beginning, which was never explained. They were worshipping Shady Sands. Remember Shady Sands? This is where we do meet, we do see that Shady Sands got bombed, and then we see the NCR flag. And then of course, this is where I, you know, correlate that the Latina lady had to be a leader of the NCR or some type of, you know, some way in for, you know, having to deal with the NCR. So they were worshiping her. And also Lucy ended up finding out that, okay, they were, you know, experimenting on some people, I guess. And then I'm thinking, okay, maybe they were going deep into this. Okay, man, we're gonna get something deep and something dark. No. We just figured out that they're crazy, and they were just, it was all because of Lucy's vault. People that they brought experiment from Lucy's vault, and they were trying to treat them. So it turns out, and by the way, mind you, there was a ceremony where people were getting naked and they were worshiping again the Latina lady. I'm thinking, dude, this could go, we could have like a conflict here, something, you know, Lucy has to figure out, and they, you know, Lucy has and Maximus have to solve. No, they ended up just leaving the vault after stealing one of their power core, and that's it. We didn't get anything deep, like anything interesting at all. We get thrown in the face by something interesting, but yet never explained or has nothing to do with the story at all. And I know what you want to say, oh, Gibby, this is just, you know, like the games, they're just side quests. Okay, but make it interesting, make a solution, give us something so we can get in the show too. So Maximus gets his own section because Maximus is actually the bad guy of the show. These people are supposed to be woke, and Maximus has he's supposed to be the diverse guy, and he is the villain. He has to be. If never mind Goggins' wife, you know, being the villain in Vault-Tec or whatever. No, he's the villain. And I'll tell you why. So Maximus, like I said in the beginning, we started Maximus being, you know, we started him being bullied. We see him being bullied at the beginning, again beaten up. He also didn't get a promotion. The Shim, if you remember Shim, she got a promotion before he did. And he also even got blamed for putting a trap in Shim's shoes or boots. And, you know, Maximus is getting his villain arc. Everything bad is happening to Maximus. And then he leaves, you know, to a mission with his lord, as they call it in the show. But, you know, it's supposed to just be his commander. He let his commander get killed. That's one thing. When I mean get killed, he didn't really do anything. He didn't hesitate, or he didn't really... He watched his commander get mauled by a bear or some bear enemy. And then he finally, at the end, he shot the enemy, right? And you're thinking, okay, maybe Maximus, after he shot the enemy and his commander died, he would contact the Brotherhood of Steel and they would, you know, get him a rescue and he would explain what happened. No, Maximus steals the armor and let his commander die. And then even towards, you know, when the brother, when, you know, you would think because there was a part where his power core, you know, he ran out of power core for the power armor and he had to get a new one. And then the Brotherhood is still contact the the armor because, you know, they've been out in the wasteland for a very long time and haven't checked in. So, okay, you would think Maximus would finally, all right, tell the truth, Maximus. You know, you didn't contact them as soon as your commander died. Fine, tell the truth here. You know, my commander died. Come and help me. I need a rescue. No, he lies and say he is Knight Titus, or he is the commander, and he ended up stealing the power armor and, you know, pretending, and also he pretended to be the commander that he killed. Because, you know, they did end up sending a rescue party or somebody to rescue him or to aid him in the mission, or Knight Titus, because he ended up saying he died instead of his commander, and he stole the power armor. So, okay, you thinking, all right, Maximus, stop all the bad. Then once his companion saw that he was not Knight Titus and he lied to him throughout the whole show, this dude ended up still tried to kill him, despite you in the wrong here. Maximus is in the wrong in everything he does. He lies, he steals, and he's the black guy. So you would think these people being woke wouldn't associate his character with all of these bad things, but they did anyway. So maybe they're the, you know. So they ended up throughout the show, Maximus lied, Maximus steal. Here's another example. So remember the vault I talked about with Maximus and Lucy, you know, encountering and living in and finding out, you know, it was ran by cultists. Okay. Towards the end, Maximus stole their power core, which, mind you, their power core runs the whole vault. They needed to survive. Maximus ended up, instead of just leaving, you know, peacefully, Maximus stole their power core and then was hesitating to give it back. It took Lucy talking to him and telling him, you have to give it back. They needed to survive. No, Maximus was willing to take it all and leave. Don't tell me Maximus is the good guy, because he's not. And that's not even it. Towards the end, Maximus somehow got you know, the Brotherhood still forgave Maximus. And, well, I guess because, well, he did tell him that he knows where the head is, because, you know, throughout the mission, throughout the whole wasteland was looking for this specific German guy that injected himself with some MacGuffin. Let's just call it MacGuffin. Some MacGuffin that need to power the whole city, because if whoever gets this MacGuffin will be able to power the whole wasteland, right? So the Brotherhood still was also looking for this. So Maximus ended up telling him, okay, I know where the head is located. All right, Maximus brought him there, right? Maximus ended up encountering the Latina lady, because towards the end, the Latina lady had, you know, there was a lot of twists. You can search this up. Lucy's dad was in on everything. Latina lady was actually not the bad guy. She just wanted the MacGuffin, right? So the Latina lady ended up dying, and not due to Maximus, due to I think it was Goggins, right? Goggins' character, or the ghoul, shooting her, or yeah, it was something like that. So that happened, right? So Maximus got knocked out somehow throughout all of this encounter. Then Maximus ended up taking the credit for defeating the Latina lady, despite he didn't do anything. You would think after, because the Brotherhood still ended up raiding the base that the Latina lady and her crew was in. So you would think Maximus would be like, no guys, I didn't defeat her, you know, it was somebody else that did. I'm not taking the credit. You know, you would think he'll have an arc of telling the truth, of, you know, being a decent human being. No, he took the credit, and now all of a sudden he's in command of some crew. How in the world they promoted him? How in the world throughout all of this Maximus ended up still getting rewarded after doing countless of bad throughout the wasteland? Where's the I thought Bethesda loved karma. What happened to the karma? He did so many things bad. How in the world did he still come out alive? And not only that, insult to injury, he got promoted. How? Maximus is not a good guy. Maximus is the villain. Forget communism or whatever. Capitalist is the bad. By the way, also, that's another thing I've noticed throughout the show. Communism good. For some reason, there's some weird propaganda of communism being good. And forget all of that. Maximus is the problem of the show. And that is crazy. This is why Maximus deserved his own section. So after saying all of this bad thing about the show, what is the conclusion? So, you know what's worse than the enemy? I should say, you know how there's two sides to everything. There's a good and there's a bad. You know what's worse than the enemy? It's when you have allies or people that say they're allies, pretending to be allies, and they are actually liars and they are grifters, and they pretend to be for you, but yet when all, you know, things happen or bad things happen, or when the mass, you know, go against them, they end up cowering. For example, why do you think Judas was so bad in the Bible? Because he was part of the good guys, and he ended up betraying the good. That's why he was the bad. Yes, he had the devil in him, whatever, you know, causing him to do things, but he betrayed his brothers. He betrayed the good. So what am I saying here? Being that there are reviewers that says, okay, I'm for you guys. I'm going to review things, you know, legit, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to call out all the BS and all of the cheese, as I say, to see them, you know, lying to you. For example, like Drinker. Why didn't he call any of this out? He is supposed to be the guy that calls out the message. You know, he's always on point. He's always on top of that. He's always, you know, calling out the message and all these propagandas. Why in the world did he not call that out in this show? Never mind the lore being the problem of this show. Forget all of that. Why didn't he call out all the other problems of the show? He does legit reviews of shows, right? Why? And I haven't watched him in so long, but I did see this review. Why didn't he call out any of the problems that are, any of the main problems that are in the show? Again, never mind the lore things. Why did Ackman not call out any of the problems in the show also? Why did he say it was good? Why didn't he be real? Why did he say the show was good when, mind you, besides the lore problems, it is a bad show. There are problems with the dialogue, the acting. You know, yes, there are cool shots here and there, you know, and cool music, but that doesn't take away from the bad acting. Like, the black dude is a bad actor. Lucy, despite what everybody want to say, yes, she's not as goblinly, you know, she doesn't look as goblinly as the previous as the girl from The Last of Us, but she's a bad actor. She's not that interesting. And the only, again, good actor is Goggins, is the ghoul. After that, not really that good of an actor from the other two main protagonists. They're not that good. Even that, the plot has a lot of plot holes. For example, what about when the guy from the Enclave was escaping the Enclave and there was a turret that came up? Why didn't he die? Him and Dogmeat. How did he not die from that encounter? How in the world did that machine gun shoot him? And mind you, the turret is supposed to be accurate. How in the world did he not die from that encounter? There are so many plot holes in this show. Never mind the lore, that, you know, that has to be called out. If you're doing a review of the show, you have to say the problem of the shows. You can't just say it was a good watch. No. It's, again, never mind being a Fallout fan. If you're just a normal consumer or normie, as the ghoul in Fallout 1 said, I remember that. How in the world can you not point out some of these problems in the show? You know what I mean? So this is why I'm saying it is worse. Yes, there's lefties or whatever, but it's worse when you got people that's supposed to be for you or your guy or your reviewer or based doing stuff like this. And this is where I truly understand this Fallout show is good and bad, of course, because it was made. That's the bad. But the good thing is exposing all of these people that's supposed to be on your side, yet are not on your side. You understand what I'm saying? So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, I was supposed to do a whole thing about all the episodes, but I got too tired anyways. I got too mad at the show. I didn't really care after a while. You guys let me know what you think. If you're going to watch this, don't pay Amazon Prime. Find another way. Again, thanks for watching. I will be getting on Stellar Blade at some point. I don't know when, but I'll probably play it, probably review that, and then we'll go back to streaming if I have the time, because I do have work constantly, and I did move, and I do have to pay the spot, you know, and I have to work for that, and plus I have school, I have papers to write, you know, there's a lot going on here, guys. So I'm trying my best balancing. It is pretty difficult, and I get to the point where I'm like, I do not even, you know, have the willpower to get up and record or get up and to stream. It's very weird, you know, and it's very tiring. So I know, I mean, hopefully you understand, hopefully you enjoyed the video. This is all I have now, and yeah.